All right, guys, welcome in. Dean Smith, available for you here. We're going to just go ahead and jump straight into it so we can spend as much time getting questions in. As usual, just please raise your hands with the raise your hand feature, and I'll do my best to work around to you. So let's kick it off with Willie P today, and then we'll go to Carol Walton after that.
Hi, Dean. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Will, yourself?
I'm fantastic. What have been your impressions over the first week and a half, 2 weeks of training so far?
It's been really pleasing so far. The players have been willing, they've been engaging, they've asked questions, they're learning, and they're working extremely hard. So, the two things that are given for me is always application and attitude, and they've got ticks in both of them boxes so far. So, yeah, there's certainly things to work with and work towards as well. But I've been pleased so far.
When you get ready for Friday, what are the things that you look for and how you approach a scrimmage of this nature, a first scrimmage when it comes to what you're evaluating?
You may see me smiling because I'm just starting to get used to the word scrimmage. I didn't quite know what that was, but people were telling me. But yeah, looking forward to our first match. But it's just about the processes that we're put in place already, that our positioning, how we want to win the ball back. But the big thing is I want the players to become good decision makers, and we've been putting them in situations where they're having to make lots of decisions. So that's the main thing I'll be looking for in the preseason matches.
Last for me, and I'll yield my time. In terms of this roster, I know that this has been an evaluatory period for you. Do you feel this roster, set as it is good enough to go into the season with, or do you feel that another piece should be added or pieces should come?
I believe there are still a couple of more pieces that we need to improve the roster, and I believe that the front office are working on them as we speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Carol. I'm going to go Steve on deck.
Hey, Coach Smith, how are you?
Hi, Carol. I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
I am good. I wanted just to ask a little bit about your preparation when you took this job and in the last weeks. Do you watch video of every game, or do you say that's not worth your time to do that? Want to start fresh, or you watch little highlight pieces? How did you do that?
I watched probably the last 8 games of the season, just to give me an idea of the players. If some of the players weren't involved because of injuries, then I may have gone back a little bit further and watched a half or two just to get my impressions of the players that I'm going to work with on the roster. So I've done that, but whilst we've been here, it's been really valuable for me that, I've been able to sit down with some of the coaches and look at how we're built up, how we've broke through teams, how we're pressed, and adjusted it and pretty much done my presentation on how I feel we can go with the squad that we have.
One thing Ashley brought up last week was that you guys wanted them to play with more speed. Is that something that you noticed on film? Something you like to do in general? Where'd that come from?
I mean, it's when I looked at the games and the roster, I didn't think there was enough pace certainly in the front line. With the boy Bronica, you've got somebody who can run all day, and probably the next day as well, from what I've seen so far. But defenders are scared of pace, and I didn't feel that we had enough pace within the squad. So it was something that I felt we could certainly work on.
And I know we could ask you about every single player and your impressions, but are there some young players you've seen or guys that you've seen that surprised you a little bit or jump out more in person than on film?
No, I just think the fact that we've been able to bring some of the legacy players with us, has introduced me to them as well. The likes of Lurie, Brian Romero has been with us, João Pedro. We've got quite a few of the legacy players with us, so it's good to have them in and amongst us so we can get a good look. We've also got the draft picks with us as well, Forbesy, and Tiger Smalls as well. So it's good for me to see how far I believe they are off the roster, or whether they join us on the roster as well.
And last one about Ben Bender. I wonder where he stands physically coming off his knee thing last year.
Yeah, Ben came with us for the first 5 days. I wanted in and around us so we can get used to my presentations, what I'm looking for, the basics that we want to, employ straight away. But it's going to be a slower recovery. I'm not sure the medical have put a date on it, but it certainly won't be the first 4 to 5 weeks of the season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you. Let's move to Steve.
Hi, Coach.
Hey, Steve.
Well, it's my understanding that scrimmage is the Welsh version of haggis.
Okay, the Scottish version of haggis is better.
No version of haggis is better. Just saying.
It's an acquired taste, that's for sure.
Yes, one it will not be acquired. Of course, you want to be competitive coming right out of the gate, but that doesn't happen. Your teams build towards a peak and getting towards a championship level as they want to get near the end of a season. But you still want to be competitive coming out of the gate. How do you, in managing expectations, where do you see the team now as to where you want them to be at the beginning of the season, and and what kind of percentage towards full flight?
I want them to be out of the traps on the 24th of February straight away. I've sat down with the performance team here, and we've got a periodization of training. So we'll know, when there's a likely trough coming after the peak, and we need to balance that to make sure that there's not as big a drop off as there could be. So our balancing of the training times and training schedule is really important for that. But, I believe that the good thing for me is I'm coming in with a fresh pair of eyes, and, I have no perceptions of the players and what they're about and what they're. I will, and I've said this from the start of the preseason training program with the players, that, I'm looking now for players to cement their place in the starting 11 for the 24th of February against New York City. And, everybody starts on an even keel for me. So, what I want to see is players showing that they're ready to start.
And you want them fighting for those positions, throughout the season, of course.
Correct. And, preseason is one of them times when, the head coach is liked by everybody because he's not actually picking teams. But as soon as you pick that first team on the 24th of February, then you upset some people who want to start. And I want people to be upset because I want them to be fighting for positions and putting pressure on each other. I think competition is healthy, and I think that's what drives people.
Okay, and going to what Carol said, and we were talking about speed, there's speed of play, and then there's also speed of decision making in what you want to do, and being confident to try things, to push with that. Do you see the speed and decision making where you want it as well, or is that something that also has to improve?
No, that's something that we need to improve. A lot of the sessions have been about decision making and making lots of decisions. Players are making snap decisions every couple of seconds in a game, and we need to make them understand that what are the best decisions for them to make. Without taking away their feel for situations as well away. So they're going to have a lot of pictures that will give them of what can happen in a game, counter-attacking situations, times to go and press and win the ball back, times to counter-press. But it's going to be down to their decision-making. It's going to be the key to the speed of it.
And concurrent with that is also the taking chances and pushing the play and putting pressure on the opposition, where in the modern game today on all levels and in every country, there you get a lot of players, they stop, they kind of wait, they look, they're not as much taking players on and running at them as there used to be, in my opinion. Is that something that you see as well, or is that something you would want to encourage?
I think the modern game, has become, people will look at Pep Guardiola's teams and the way they play and the way they keep the ball and the possession. There's many different ways you can play the game, and we haven't all got 15 plus players who cost over 50 million. So it's hard to go and play that way at times, but there's certain things that you can take from that. But what I don't like to see is people always coming towards the ball. I think that makes a job for defenders easy. I want people who want to go and break lines, and that's a lot of the things that we'll be working on. People who want to go and break the back line of the opposition team, and you can watch Manchester City and see Haaland make 24 of them runs, and he may only get the ball twice, and that's the mentality that we will need.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, let's go to David and then John Hayes.
Hey, Dean. Thanks for taking the question. So what do you expect to see from the team over the next month as you prepare for the home opener?
I expect them to get fitter, but I expect them then to also get the basics right, get better at the basics. I think you always have to strip things down, simplify it, and make sure they concentrate on the basics. And that is, the detail you put on a pass, the pressure you put on yourself, or the pride you put on yourself in your first touch, how you get into your positions quickly, how you win the balls back quickly. And I just want to see a daily improvement and a weekly improvement on them aspects of the game, because if we get that, then we'll be hard to play against.
Awesome. So last question I got is, what's been the biggest thing that you've learned over, say, the past 2 weeks with the club?
That I have to speak a little bit slower, that my accent will probably sometimes lose some of them. And I also, sometimes I smile at my own sayings, but then realize that only probably 12 players have understood that saying. So we're learning about each other all the time. And, I've got some sayings already that they know. One of them is excuses are well-planned lies. So don't bother coming up with an excuse, come up with a reason. And the other one is, don't make a good chance better. If it's a good chance, it's good enough.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
Go ahead, John.
Hey, Dean, how's it going? John Hayes
Yeah,
here.
good, thanks, John.
Good. I thought this is a good follow-up question of that right there. I was thinking about your career in England and I guess the lack of American player that you've coached. Josh Sargent was with Norwich, but what's it been like working with a team featuring a ton of young American players?
Yeah, it's been good fun. I think what I've seen about them physically, they're all strong, they're all powerful. And they're all willing learners as well. They listen. What I'm trying to encourage now is them to question me as much as I question them. I'm going to question them to find out what they know. Once I know what they know, then I know where I can coach them and push them even further. But if it's something that's probably a little bit different to them, then I want to encourage them to ask me questions why we do certain things. And I think if you have that two-way talk, then you have better understanding and better learnings.
And as far as one of those young American players on the team, Jose Tavares, I think, gave one of the most famous quotes about Patrick Agyemang when he said, "I can give him wings and make him fly." You've spent now more than a week with Patrick Agyemang. What can you say about his training camp so far?
I can give him wings and I can make him fly also.
Yeah, he looks good at the striker position.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's a willing learner. We've just done a finishing session actually. Him, Lurie, and Enzo. Carroll's feeling his hip a little bit, so he won't train for the next couple of days, but then he'll be back. So yeah, working with him. Jose's here with us as well, so we've been talking about our methodology and how we get it across to the players as well, at both first team level and legacy level as well. So it's been really good to share ideas, with Jose as much as the other coaches as well.
Fantastic. And last one for me, you mentioned earlier that you were thinking about pieces to improve the squad. Do you have a position circled or an area of need at this moment throughout training camp?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the moment, and I feel we lack a little bit of balance defensively. I think we've got 4 or 5 centre backs and all right-footed, so I wouldn't mind getting a left-footed centre back to give us a little bit more balance and obviously a bit more pace in the team are the areas that I would like to improve.
Fantastic. Thanks so much.
No worries.
Okay, Sam Spencer, then Bridget.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're enjoying training.
Sorry, Sam, I didn't get the first part of that.
So, start out with Steve brought up haggis, but I think the more important Scottish question is that we had an announcement today of two folks joining the team. What do you think of our new technical director and assistant coach? What role did you play in bringing them on, and what can you say about how they're going to shape the team?
So in regards to Tommy, that wasn't my hire or involvement. That's certainly a front office hire. But I'm really pleased that Tommy has joined us. I know of him, and I know friends of his from when he was at Rangers, and everybody I've spoken to has spoken glowingly. And obviously his knowledge and what he's done at Philadelphia, he's very impressive as well. So we're really pleased to have got him on board. But I was heavily involved in bringing Miles into the club. We interviewed a ton of coaches, a ton of coaches that can come and assist me and help me with MLS experience, because that's the thing that I feel that I lack. And Miles was the one we chose out of a very very high caliber of talent that's out there in terms of coaches, and his knowledge of the game, of the players in this league, coaches in this league, and how teams will play will be invaluable for me. So really pleased to have him on board.
And then what are you looking for? You talked about earlier about how you want to make some people on the team angry. You want them to go out and compete, to be in the 11, to be in the 20. What are some things that you are looking for during this preseason from members of the squad?
As I said right at the start, the two given things for me are the attitude and the application. They've got to be willing to work hard. The best players are the hardest working players. So we want that mentality, but then it's about improving your quality, taking care. As I said, the small details for me are really important, making sure you do the basics really well. And then the rest of the game becomes easy for you.
And then finally, any update on whether or not you anticipate any changes in the DP slots, or do you think that we'll be able to, Charlotte FC will be starting the season with Karol Swiderski and others?
Well, at the moment, Camille hasn't joined us in Miami at the moment. So I had a chat with him before. I just felt that, we would look for a different profile of player where Camille plays, and he understood that. So I believe him and his agent are looking for the club at the moment.
Thank you very much, Coach. Best of luck.
No worries. Thanks, Sam.
Okay, Bridget, and then Jorge is going to be our final one.
Hi, Coach. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Bridget. Yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you. So last year, it was very rare that we saw Enzo and Karol playing together due to injuries and strategies. What can you tell us about their partnership and training, and could we possibly see them both starting as strikers this year?
You could possibly see them starting as strikers. You could possibly see them in the same team, but not both as strikers. I think there's certainly some adaptability that we can work with both of them. I see strengths that they both have, that they can be potent together. Both are goal scorers. I think their return has to be better than what it was last season, and that's the pressure I will put on them. But the beauty of it for me is that they're not DPs that I chose, so they have to prove to me that they're valuable to me, to the team, and they can go and perform at the highest level to get their places in the team. And what I've seen from both of them so far is a willingness to do that, certainly in training and how they've worked.
Great. And one last thing. You've been with them in training camp for a little while, and with a little bit of time left in the international transfer window, do you have anyone in mind, even if you can't say who you might like to bring in that DP spot or in another spot in the team?
Yeah, we've got people in mind who, we're obviously working to get at the moment. But obviously, we keep names very close to our chest.
I tried.
Good try.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Thank
All
you,
right, guys,
sir.
looks like Jorge's questions got asked, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up right there. We'll be wrapping up Miami's stint of preseason, have some assets for you following our friendly on Friday. And then we'll keep moving forward from there. So as always, if you need anything, just reach out to the comms team. Happy to help.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dean. Thanks, Will.